Okay, you're good to go.
Okay, good morning. Today is Thursday, February 4th, 2021 at approximately 10:38 a.m. We are reconvening the meeting, the Board of Aldermen's Engrossment Rules Resolution and Credentials Committee meeting. We did quite a bit yesterday. We had a guest in the presence of the police chief, and we did 30 board bills, which was pretty good. That's a pretty long agenda. Today, we're going to try to wrap things up. We have 14 items and a resolution. So we're going to get started. We don't have to do roll call because we are resuming a meeting. And the first thing on the agenda is our engrossment agenda. And item number 1 is board bill number 146, committee substitute, introduced by Alderwoman Heather Navarro, Alderwoman Christine Engrossment. And it's an ordinance amending ordinance 70892 to require certification of network need or proof of other legal exceptions in applications for installations of small wireless facilities on new or modified utility poles in the right-of-way adjacent to the front lot line of single-family lots and containing an emergency clause and a severability clause. Okay, Alderwoman Evans, are you going to continue with us today as being the person that's going to make the motion?
Yes, I am.
We're just going to engross, okay?
We're engrossing instead of enrolling.
That's correct. So we're not sending it out of committee. Alderwoman Grass, are you good with the second? Okay, and Alderman Todd, are you our previous role?
Yes, I am. Thank you. Good morning.
Madam Chair, can I make sure I got the correct wording as to what I'm supposed to say, since I'm not passing it?
I'm going to say it first. So if you listen, I will tell you first. So what we're going to say is we move to engross board bill 146. That's it.
Okay, that's it. Sounds like a winner.
Right. And then when you get further down, like you did yesterday, you'll just say, I so move.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, but as I told you, unless you discovered it, I wouldn't tell you, but both you and the alderman from the 12th discovered it on your own. Okay, let's get started. Board Bill 146, committee substitute, introduced by Alderwoman Heather Navarro, Alderwoman Christine Engrossment, an ordinance amending ordinance 70892 to require certification of network need or proof of other legal exceptions in applications for installation of small wireless facilities on new or modified utility poles in the right-of-way adjacent to the front lot line of single-family lots and contained an emergency clause and a severability clause. Alderman Vaccaro, any problems with board bill?
No, I don't.
146 committee substitute.
I have no problems with board bill 146 committee substitute.
Alderman Todd?
No, I don't have any problem. Thank you.
Alderwoman Evans?
No problems.
Alderman Grass?
No problems.
I don't have any problems either. I'd entertain a motion to engross board bill 146 committee substitute.
We move to engross board bill 146.
Second.
We need a committee. 146 committee substitute.
Committee to substitute.
Second.
Previous roll.
Okay, we have a motion and a second and a call for previous roll that board bill 146 committee substitute be engrossed. Any objections to previous roll? Hearing none, board bill 146 is engrossed. Board bill 155, introduced by Alderman Brandon Bosley, is an ordinance establishing a maximum posted speed limit of 20 miles per hour for all traffic traveling upon sections of roadways in area A, in area zone A, single family residential district, B, 2-family residential district dwelling. Family residential dwelling district, C, multifamily residential dwelling district, D, multifamily residential dwelling district, and E, multifamily dwelling district that are within the areas defined herein as the 3rd Ward residential speed limit district. Alderman Vaccaro, any problems with Board Bill 155?
No, I'm good with 155. I'm gonna put my name on that one. That's a good one.
Okay, Alderman Todd,
No, I don't have any problem with Board Bill 155. Thank you.
Alderwoman Evans,
No problems.
Alderman Grass.
No problems.
I don't have any problems either. I entertain a motion that we engross Board Bill 155.
I move to engross Board Bill 155.
Second,
Previous roll.
I have a motion and a second to engross Board Bill 155. A call for previous roll. Any objections to previous roll? Board Bill 155 is engrossed. Board Bill 169, introduced by Alderwoman Sarah Martin, Alderwoman Heather Navarro, Alderman Thomas Oldenburg, and Alderwoman Annie Rice. The purpose of this bill is to authorize the City of St. Louis by and through the Board of Public Service to accept the fiscal year 20 Missouri Department of Natural Resources Air Pollution Control Program Volkswagen Trust Government Truck Program of $423,000. Alderman Vaccaro, any problems with Board Bill 169?
I was closing my dogs out. No, I have no problem with that.
Okay, Alderman Todd,
No, I don't have any problems. Thank you.
Alderwoman Evans,
No problems.
Alderman Grass.
no problems.
And I don't have any problems either. I'd entertain a motion that Board Bill 169 be engrossed.
So moved.
Second,
Previous roll.
I have a motion, a second, a call for previous roll that Board Bill 169 be engrossed. Is there any objections to previous roll? Hearing none, Board Bill 169 is engrossed. Board Bill 165, introduced by Alderwoman Christine Ingrassia, an ordinance approving a blighting study and redevelopment plan for 2741 Locust Street redevelopment area. I'm sorry, it's Board Bill 175 for substitute. Alderman Vaccaro, any problems with Board Bill 175 for substitute?
I have no problem with 175 for substitute.
Alderman Todd,
No, I don't have any problem. Thank you.
Alderwoman Evans,
No problems.
Alderman Grass.
no problems.
I don't have any problems either. If I'd entertain a motion that Board Bill 175 for substitute be engrossed.
So moved.
Second,
Previous roll.
There's been a motion, a second, a call for previous roll. The Board Bill number 175 for substitute be engrossed. Any objections to previous roll? Hearing none, Board Bill 175 is engrossed. Board Bill 203, introduced by Alderwoman Marlene Davis, Alderwoman Tamika Hubbard, Alderman Thomas Oldenburg, Alderwoman Pamela Boyd, Alderwoman Gwendolyn Evans, and Alderman Jeffrey Boyd. It's an ordinance pertaining to the Central Baptist Church located at 2842 Washington Boulevard, having a subject matter, the designation of the property as a City of St. Louis landmark, containing definitions, landmark standards, and a severability clause. Alderman Vaccaro, any problems with Board Bill?
No, I have no problems with.
Okay.
Board Bill
And this
203.
is one, I'm sorry, this is the one that they sent us an update.
they did.
Somebody needs to turn their phone off. And it is completed. Okay, Alderman Todd, any problems with Board Bill 203? Alderman Todd,
Yes.
any problems with Board Bill 203?
No, I don't have any problem. Thank you.
Okay, Alderwoman Evans, any problems with 203?
And no problems.
Alderman Grass, any problems with 203?
No problems.
And Alderman Vaccaro, did I already ask you that?
Unmute. No, yeah, you did, but no, I have no problem.
Okay, and I don't have any problems with Board Bill 203, so I entertain a motion that Board Bill 203 be engrossed.
So moved.
Second,
Previous roll.
I have a motion, a second, that Board Bill 203 be engrossed. A call for previous roll. Any objections to previous roll? Hearing none, Board Bill 203 is engrossed. Okay. Okay, Board Bill 208, introduced by Alderwoman Marlene Davis. That was another one that had a problem. Okay, and that has been resolved.
Yep.
Okay, Board Bill 208, introduced by Alderwoman Marlene Davis, is an ordinance recommended and approved by the Board of E&A, authorizing and directing the Director of Airports and Comptroller of the City of St. Louis, the city owner and operator of St. Louis Lambert International Airport, the airport, to enter into and execute on behalf of the city the lease agreement with the Boeing Company AL 176 between the city and the Boeing Company, containing the severability clause and containing an emergency clause. Alderman Vaccaro, any problems with Board Bill 208?
No, I have no problem.
Alderman
Bill 208.
Todd,
No, I don't have any problem with Board Bill 208. Thank you.
Alderwoman Evans,
No problem with Board Bill 208.
Alderman Grass.
No problems.
Okay, I don't have any problems either. I'd entertain a motion that we engross Board Bill 208.
So move.
Second.
Previous roll.
Have a motion and a second and a call for previous roll that Board Bill 208 is engrossed. Any objections to previous roll? Hearing none, Board Bill 208 is engrossed. Board Bill 210, introduced by Alderwoman Marlene Davis. This board bill is being introduced to amend the petition of the Olive West Community Improvement District. The district was formed by City Ordinance number 710407. We got a lot of, we got an alderman on the move. Within effective.
Sorry. Oh.
You'll need to mute yourself.
Okay, sorry about.
Thank you. The district was formed by City Ordinance number 71047 with an effective date of 12/26/2019. The district is comprised of approximately 32 properties currently owned by a single property owner, Olive West Properties LLC, generally located along Olive Boulevard between Spring Avenue on the east and Vanderventer Boulevard on the west. Do you have any problems with Board Bill 210, Alderman Vaccaro?
No, I do not. I'm probably gonna have to vote in the other meeting if I missed the next one, but I'm right here, but no problem.
Okay, well, we can just do previous roll if you need to do that. Alderman Todd, you have any problems?
No, I do not have any problem, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Okay. Alderwoman Evans, any problems with Board Bill 210?
No problems with Board Bill 210.
And Alderman Grass, any problems with Board Bill 210?
No problems.
I entertain a motion that we engross Board Bill 210.
So move.
Second. Previous roll.
There you go. We have a motion to second and call for previous roll that Board Bill 210 is engrossed. Any objections to previous roll? Hearing none, Board Bill 210 is engrossed. Board Bill 211, introduced by Alderwoman Lisa Middlebrook. This board bill is being introduced to establish the Clarence Broadway Community Improvement District. The district will be comprised of approximately 34 properties currently owned by 3 separate property owners, and we will be generally bounded by North Broadway on the west, East Clarence Avenue on the north, Butler Avenue on the east, and East Athlon on the south. Alderman Vaccaro, any problems with Board Bill 211?
No, I'm fine with that.
Alderman Todd, any problems with Board Bill 211?
No, I'm fine with it. Thank you.
Alderwoman Evans?
No problem.
Alderman Grass?
No problem.
I have no problems. I'd entertain a motion that we engross Board Bill 211.
So moved.
Second.
Previous roll.
I have a motion and a second to call for previous roll that Board Bill 211 be engrossed. Any objections to previous roll? Hearing none, Board Bill 211 is engrossed. Board Bill 217, I had some people say that there may be a problem with the verbiage in 217, so I need to take a look at it again. This is a board bill introduced by Alderwoman Marlene Davis. It seeks to approve a Chapter 99 redevelopment plan and blighting study for the 3601-3609 Linda Boulevard redevelopment area. This board bill will allow a 10-year tax abatement at 95%. I want to take another look at it. I didn't see any problems before, but I will look again. I don't see where the problem is, but maybe I'm missing something. Does anybody else see that there's a problem in Board Bill 217?
Can you hear me on this?
I can hear you. Yes.
Okay, I need to.
Sorry, Alderman from the 18th.
Okay.
We hear a back feed. You're on twice. One of
Okay,
them.
I'm trying to get off. I'm trying to get off of.
Madam Chair, I'm actually going to leave the other meeting even though it's going on. And I'm going to switch to my main computer where I can see better.
Okay.
So if you see me leave, that's what's going on.
All righty. I'll let you and the other aldermen get your situations before we move on. We're on Board Bill 217.
Okay, can I step out for a minute? I need to go answer
Yes.
some.
I'll wait for you to get settled.
Okay, I'm just doing the mic check. Okay, so I should be on my just regular computer now. And hopefully my mic's working.
Nice haircut.
She's going to the basement.
Okay, are we all set?
Yes, I'm all set now. Sorry for the inconvenience.
No problem. We are all making it happen with Zoom. This was not how we expected to be meeting for a year, but that is what has happened. And I'm proud of all of us that we have adapted so well. So is everybody settled now?
Yes, I'm selling now. Thank you.
Okay. So I had got a text about Board Bill 217, but then they said it must have been resolved because I don't see anything that's wrong or so. Alderman Vaccaro, do you have any problems with Board Bill 217?
No, I do not.
Alderman Todd, any problems with Board Bill 217?
No, I do not. Thank you.
Okay. Alderwoman Evans,
No, I do not.
Alderman Grass.
No, I do not.
I don't have any problems either. I entertain a motion that Board Bill 217 be engrossed.
So moved.
Second.
Previous roll.
I have a motion and a second. I call for previous roll that Board Bill 217 is engrossed. Any objections to previous roll? Hearing none. Board Bill 217 is engrossed. Okay, Board Bill 219, Committee Substitute, introduced by Alderwoman Carol Howard. The purpose of the bill is to establish a community improvement district, CID, known as the 4350 South Kings Highway Community Improvement District. Alderman Vaccaro, any problems with Board Bill 219?
No, I have no problem with 219.
Alderman Todd, any
No,
problem?
I don't have it. I don't have any problem, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Alderwoman Evans,
No problems.
Alderman Grass.
No problems.
I don't have any problems either. I'd entertain a motion that we engross Board Bill 219.
So moved.
Second.
Alderman Todd.
Previous roll.
Okay, thank you, Alderwoman. We have a motion and a second that Board Bill 219 committee substitute. We want to make sure our motion is that Board Bill 219 committee substitute be engrossed. We have a second call for previous roll. Any objections to Board Bill 219 committee substitute being engrossed? Any objections to previous roll? Hearing none, Board Bill 219 committee substitute is engrossed. Board Bill 222, introduced by Alderwoman Shameen Clark Hubbard, Alderwoman Christina Ingracia, Alderman Brett Ryan, Alderman Dan Gunther, Alderwoman Annie Rice, Alderman Joseph Vaccaro, Alderman Joseph Rhodey, Alderwoman Marlene Davis. The proposed bill will prohibit discrimination in employment and housing decisions, including without limitation, hiring, advancement, and compensation, and discrimination in hiring practices based upon an individual hairstyle, protected individual's hairstyle, protective hair, or natural or cultural hair texture or style. Alderman Vaccaro, any problems with Board Bill 222?
I don't, but I did get a haircut. They were picking on
Alderman
my hair, so
Todd.
I got it cut.
No, I don't have any problem. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Alderwoman Evans,
And no problems.
Alderman Grass.
No problems.
I don't have any problems either, except for I'm old enough to remember room 222 being on TV. So when I read this is what I think
Yeah.
of. So, but that's just me, okay? I'd entertain a motion that Board Bill 222 be engrossed.
So moved.
Second,
Previous roll.
I have a motion and a second to call for previous roll that Board Bill 222 be enrolled. Any objections to previous roll? Hearing none, Board Bill 222 is engrossed. Board Bill 234 as amended, introduced by Alderman John Cota. An ordinance authorizing and directing the treasurer of the city of St. Louis, acting in her capacity as supervisor of parking, to enter into a real estate sales contract to sell to 1014 Spruce QOZB LLC, also known as Spruce, certain real estate belonging to the city of St. Louis and located in City Block 0434 and generally known as 1014 Spruce Street, authorizing the treasurer and other city officials to enter into a parking license, a memorandum of license, and a development agreement, and granting such further authority to take such further actions as are necessary to effectuate the real estate sales contract and containing a severability and emergency clause. Okay, Alderman Vaccaro, any problems with Board Bill 234 as amended?
No, I'm fine with Board Bill 230. Sorry.
4 as amended.
Okay, mine, I'm sorry. I must have the old because mine don't say as amended, so I apologize.
Does everybody else say as amended?
I
mine
just tried to
does.
not refresh to get the newest version.
Okay, yeah, and that's hard too, because sometimes you don't know you don't have the newest version before you. So yeah, if you refresh, you'll see it's as amended.
But I'm fine, but thank you, I'm fine.
Alderman Todd, any problems with Board Bill 234 as amended?
No, I don't have any problem. Thank you.
Alderwoman Evans,
No problems.
Alderman Grass.
no problems.
I don't have any problems either. I'd entertain a motion that Board Bill 234 is amended be engrossed.
So moved.
Second,
Previous roll.
We have a motion and a second to call for previous roll that Board Bill 234 is amended. Should be engrossed. Any objections to previous roll? Ups. We have Alderwoman Green just appeared. Are you all right to be here?
Yeah, I'm better than I was yesterday, but
Okay. All right, we're gonna object to previous roll so we can get Alderwoman Green on the vote. So, Madam Chair, would you please call the roll?
Alderwoman Tyus, you're trying to give me your job again.
Oh, please take it. Please take it. I see before I was making a mistake. This time I just want to see if you are awake. Okay, Madam Clerk.
Alderman Vaccaro,
Present. I'm not.
Yeah, well, she's taking roll.
I know.
Aye.
Oh, no, she's not.
No, you
Aye.
have to
No,
vote.
Alderwoman Green,
I
Alderman Todd,
Aye.
Alderwoman Evans,
Aye.
Alderwoman Grass,
aye.
Chairwoman Tyus.
Aye.
6 aye votes.
By your vote, you've sustained the motion that Board Bill 24 as amended would be engrossed. Okay, now we're at Board Bill 236, introduced by Alderman John Collins Muhammad. The proposed bill will amend ordinance 71257 pertaining to the O'Fallon Penrose Special Business District to place the ordinance number date of its approval and the board bill number in the official ballot language and revise the initial rate of levy to 0.75 cents and change the election date set forth in section 10 to April 2nd, 2021. Alderman Vaccaro, any problems with Board Bill 236?
No, I have no problem with Board Bill 236.
Alderman Todd.
I don't have any problem. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Oh, you struck such a pose. I thought you were getting your picture taken there.
Oh, well, thanks. I was just relaxed. Oh, well, thanks for your kind words. I want to Accept your kind words. Thank you so much.
I thought you were a model. I said, does he have a photographer there taking pictures?
No, I was
Same thing with Alderman Vaccaro. He got his hair all cut and everything. So you two men are doing a new thing for this committee of women.
Well, thank you so much for your kind words. I always like to please women.
Oh, okay. I'm going to talk to your wife about what you said. Alderwoman Evans, do you have any problems?
No problems.
Okay, Alderman Grass.
No problems.
I'm sorry, Vice Chair. Alderwoman Green. We've been rolling without you. I forgot you. I'm sorry. Do you have any problems?
All good.
Okay, then I entertain a motion that Board Bill 236 be engrossed.
So moved.
Second.
Previous role.
At a motion and a second, a call for previous roll that Board Bill number 236 be engrossed. Does anyone have any objections to Board Bill 236? I'm sorry, to previous roll. Hearing none, Board Bill 236 is engrossed. Okay. So now we come to something I think we got a problem with, but we saved the last two for the best. The last two is the best. Board Bill number 200, floor substitute, introduced by Alderman Thomas Obenberg, Alderman John Collins Muhammad, Alderwoman Carol Howard, and Alderwoman Pam Boyd. We had a very good panelist here yesterday in the way of the police chief. He said he would be glad to work with it, but he was very honest in talking about potential problems he saw in cost and things like that. So one of the things we had wanted him to be here was because we thought that this board bill should have had a fiscal note attached to it from the beginning. Now, I actually sent for Board Bill number 63, committee substitute as adopted, which became an ordinance. And one of the co-sponsors is Alderwoman Green, but it lays out when you're supposed to have a fiscal note attached. I thought that on several questions that the police chief answered, that it made it very clear that we should have had a fiscal note attached to this thing. But I'm open to discussion about this one, and I'll start with Alderman Vaccaro.
So actually, I agree. That should not come, it should not come out of committee. We have an obligation to make sure that before we engross something that it, although I'm fine with the whole plain surveillance thing, I do think the bill itself is flawed. I don't think we should even vote on it because we can't, that I read, and I tried to look up yesterday, but that I read, we have an obligation to not engross, but just let it sit there. It's up to the sponsor to do whatever he wants with it. But
no, we actually can do a pass, do not pass, or we can do not take an action. So we can do this, right.
Yeah,
okay.
I prefer we just don't even take action. It by the time we would even send it back and he would try to make it and then it comes back, we're out of meetings. I agree that this should have been presented a lot earlier. When you run into problems with something, and like I said, the concept of the some people call it spy plane, I say constant surveillance plane. I don't have a problem with that. I do have a problem with the not having a fiscal note. I mean, there's going to be costs, and somebody's going to have to figure that out, and that's going to have to take quite a bit of while. So I don't see this thing. It's not coming and going anywhere this year. So I would think we should take no action, is my opinion.
Okay.
That's really it.
Thank you. Alderwoman Green.
I agree with the alderman from the 23rd ward. I think we shouldn't take action on it, that we don't have a fiscal note on it. I think from what I'm hearing from yesterday's testimony from the chief, that there really should be a fiscal note on it, that there are, I think, still other unanswered questions about which version of this bill we actually which I still have not gotten any.
We didn't get into those weeds.
Yeah, and so I think like the due diligence on this bill has not been done, and it is within the purview of this committee to make sure that all aspects of a bill are in order. And if it is required to have a fiscal note, and if we are unsure the version of the bill that we should be engrossing, I think that that is reason enough to not take further action on this bill. And if the sponsor wants to continue to move this forward, he can come back next session with something that has, rectified these issues.
Alderman Todd.
I think it does. The law, our rules require that you have a fiscal note when a bill is when a bill would cost the city money, and this bill, according to Chief Hayden, will have to shift staff, and there are some other unanswered questions about who is responsible for many things. So I think we need more. We absolutely need a fiscal note in order to meet our obligation, which is to pass bills that meet the criteria that is set by the Board of Alder people. So I think we shouldn't take any actions of whatever the majority feel, but I don't think this bill should pass out of our committee.
Okay, Alderwoman. Are you finished, Alderman Todd?
I'm finished. I was just saying thank you, and I yield back to the chairwoman.
All right, thank you. Alderwoman Evans.
Yes, Madam Chair, after listening to Chief Hayden yesterday, I feel that a fiscal note should be included in this, as well as some other further discussion, other questions that need to be answered.
Okay. Alderman Grass.
Well, I'm in favor of no action at this time as well, but I have to say there is a section in the contract that says that there will be no expense to the city of St. Louis. And I think the sponsor sent an email to all of us about the funding that I think we should take some time to pay attention to as well. And I'm also in favor of doing anything that's going to help the police department and the citizens of the city of St. Louis, given the crime problems that we have. And I think we need to concern ourselves with that aspect of the bill as well, as opposed to focusing on the fiscal note, which I'm not sure that we need. But in any event, I am willing to not take any action today.
Okay, so when I say not take any action, what I mean by that, we can do a we can do a do pass, we can do it without recommendation, or we can do a do not pass. If we do a do pass or without recommendation, the alderman from the 16th can't, because we can't just let it sit up in here. That's not what we do, okay? So we have to make a recommendation. I'm sorry, I misspoke. He can take it back on the floor, try to get 15 votes and pass it. So we either have to do a do not pass, or we are in violation of what we're supposed to do. If it's not complete and we don't have what we're supposed to have, when we send it back out, let me finish, I'll let you finish. When we send it back out with the do not pass, then he can then suspend the rules and put it back to perfection, which he can't do at this time, but he would have to clean it up. If we do not do that, he will not have to clean it up. And we cannot just sit on it. That is not what we're supposed to do. Okay, we're supposed to move these things along. So we got to make a decision. Alderman Vaccaro.
Well, I mean, that was sort of my question, because I interpreted it that, that we could just take no action whatsoever and they could just sit there.
That's called without recommendation. I'm sorry, so I misspoke. But if you send it back out without recommendation, that's saying we don't recommend, we don't find anything wrong with it. Okay, we're just going to send it out and let the full board make a decision. So I am not in favor of that.
But we shouldn't. If we send it with anything, then we've engrossed it.
No, when we
If we
send
take-
it, yeah,
if we take-
but when we say do not pass, then it goes back and goes on to the, what was it, perfection informal calendar. And then he needs to either get 20 votes to override us, or he needs to suspend the rules and send it back to perfection and do everything he's supposed to, which I think that at some point we're gonna have to hold people liable for when they bring these board bills and they don't have fiscal notes. Just putting something in the contract saying it's not gonna cost the city anything, but then going through all the steps we went through yesterday and asking the chief, well, how will this be paid for? He doesn't know. So I think that the alderman should have done what we did yesterday. He should have done that with the police chief. He should have gone to sit down with him and talk about these things. And I don't see how it comes up that he didn't need a fiscal note. Alderman Todd.
I think we should say do not pass because it does not meet the criteria. He needs a fiscal note because according to Chief Hayden, he made it very plain that this would cost money because he would have to shift staff. And that earlier when we talked with the attorney, and I asked the attorney who would be responsible if the insurance, if this plane, something happened and the city was sued and the insurance and the insurance didn't pay. He said the city would be responsible. The other thing that I brought up and asked the attorney, were there costs that could possibly occur if the city did not pay? And he said yes. So we do need a fiscal note to at least cover the police officers that will be shifted from one department, from one area to the other. And then there's another point where I read that email this morning where it talked about where it talked about sharing in costs. That is very fuzzy. And so therefore there may be a cost because they're assuming that we'll get some grants and other things that we don't have any proof that we will get. So there may be hidden costs that will occur. So we need a fiscal note, and that's the issue, right? And at a minimum, we had testimony from Chief Hayden that there will be a fiscal cost. We want to know how much will it cost actually to shift this staff and to analyze this data, and who will be responsible for collecting the data, how many people, all of those things will cost money. And according to what I heard from the spy plane person who owns the spy plane, there will only be one spy plane. If there will be more than one spy plane in the air, we need to know how many will there be and who would take care of the data. And we also, I heard when he said, people saying that they want to do anything to eliminate crime. Chief Hayden said it'll be in Baltimore, they solved 8 crimes. We could solve more than 8 crimes by treating people for drugs, stopping people who don't want to sell drugs but are selling them anyway and getting killed because they may sell bad drugs or whatever, or say something to somebody or whatever they do out there. There are more than 8 people being killed then. And we could have, so I mean, this is, first of all, I'm gonna be honest, this is no way to solve crime. That's the first thing. And I would tell anyone that there's 8 flying around in the airplane with costing the city money. We could be opening up these public schools to supervise. Since they want to talk about they're going to do something for North St. Louis. I have a plan called the TIRE plan, which is full employment.
Point of order.
I'm talking about eliminating crime.
Wait. Hold on just a minute. Alderman Vaccaro has made a point of order and I have to listen to that.
We need to state Jermaine, and I understand he's got a TIDE plan and all that, but for the sake of timing on this meeting, because we still got other things.
Let him make
I think state Jermaine, I understand his point, but state Jermaine, please.
Okay, thank you. I yield. I will yield. Thank you, Mr. Alderman from the 23rd. I will shorten this and talk about that later.
You don't have to talk about the tie plan. What we are talking about is that.
It's the airplane. I would talk about the airplane.
No, what we're talking about is what we should
It's
do
the
with the
call.
vote, okay, and
I'm
why.
sorry. Thank you, Madam Chair. I would talk about what we should do for the vote. We should vote that I'm recommending that we stay within our responsibility, which is to, if something costs money, which is this spy plane will cost the city money from the police department. We should ask for a fiscal note on the cost that the police department will incur due to the spy plane program.
Okay. Anybody else? Anyone else? Anyone else? So we either have to decide if we want to do, these are the things. I do pass, I do not pass, or no recommendation.
I would personally think we should do a do not pass, because if we do no recommendation, this could end up on the third reading, and they could actually engross and enroll it at the next meeting.
Correct.
So I still think we should take no action and let it sit here in committee.
But that's really not what we're supposed to do, okay?
Well,
Only time we hold things is if we have a problem with it, then we move it, okay?
I have a problem with this one. Just, and I support this. I'm actually
I understand
people that support this, but I think it should be held here. I think that
I'm not gonna hold
send
it.
it back to committee could certainly end up, because I've done it. So, I mean, I certainly know that we can put it on the third reading and skip the committee. And I would say that, we take no vote. I think I think that's, I think.
That is, okay, so let's go back here. We need to take a vote. We've identified the problems. We don't have any other problem. If we're all saying it's supposed to have, except for one, Alderman McGrath said maybe it shouldn't have one. If we're saying that, then we have to take a stance on what we want to do. We didn't, and we did this before you even came with Alderman Boyd's bill that had a problem we got from the city councilor, Alderwoman Green.
I was just going to ask, per our rules, we do have the ability to hold for 30 days in committee.
But we would not engrossment.
Okay.
We're supposed to do engrossment, and that's why I try to get engrossment done. We're supposed to do engrossment. The truth be told, we're on the edge right now. In fact, we're a little over, but we just can't physically do it, okay? So the charter makes us, we're supposed to get engrossment done within so many days, okay? Per our rules, we can keep it in enrollment, but if we're right, but we got to make a decision about engrossment right now. Okay, so
then
wait. I see. Everybody's gonna get a turn. Alderwoman Green is speaking now.
Then my preference is with a do not pass recommendation.
Okay, Alderman Vaccaro.
Well, what if we do a do not pass and then hold it in committee?
I don't think we can. So I will check. Okay, I think once we do that, we have to give them a chance to take it back out. It's not going to hurt anything because, it's the end of the session anyway, but I think we have to send it back out to them, and we can take a minute, we can go and look at it, but I'm pretty sure we have to send it back out. It goes on the perfection informal calendar. And we did this with Alderman Boyd's bill. I don't know if you remember or not, Alderwoman Green, but when we got that decision back from the city councilor, he then had to do a motion to reconsider his perfection. He had to clean it up. And so that's what we did before. And I'm pretty sure that's what we have to do. So I understand you don't want to be on record, maybe saying that do not pass, but it's not to speaking to if you support the bill or not. It's if it is, do we believe it's in the proper form before us? And we didn't even get into, because I actually don't believe this is the right version of the bill. But if we can just deal with if we need a fiscal note or not, I think we don't have to go with the long-term argument about if it's even properly before us in the right version or not.
And I understand the engrossment. We have to have something engrossed by the next meeting unless it's a floor substitute. And then we have 3 additional days. So you're right, we're on the edge of that. But
We're past the edge.
right, it's an edge. It might be the far edge.
Yes.
But we might be on the edge. But I guess, I mean, I guess there's some risk in anything we do. I'll wait and see what everybody wants to do. I certainly think that given the fact that there's going to be some cost, and again, I think anything we can do for the police, the more tools, the better. We had a 3- and 5-year-old shot and killed this morning, you know, and I guess their mom.
Okay, I'm gonna have to do the same order with you.
I know, I agree.
Okay,
So I
we're
am
gonna hold people to point of order. I see y'all, McGrath. You're gonna have to be held to the same standard.
That we can't engross it because it's questionable, and our obligation is to engross or not engross a bill based off of if it's in its proper form. And I think we pretty much feel that the bill itself in its proper form. There's no question there. The question is whether or not it needs, I think we send it to, refer it to the city councilor's office.
We don't have that.
Let them come back and tell us what to do.
Okay, you just gave us
I'm
new
up for
powers.
whatever everybody wants to do.
You just gave us new powers.
I'll just sit back and listen.
Okay, Alderman Grass.
I'm looking at the rules, and Rule 65 is engrossment. And some of the things that you guys have talked about here today as to what are part of the rules, I don't see in Rule 65, page 22, the rules of the board.
Okay.
So if you could point me in the right direction as to where those particular issues are that you and Alderman Vaccaro have talked about.
So here's the thing. Okay.
I would like to
be
able to read that.
Okay. People want to interpret engrossment means that we make sure that I's are dotted and the T's are dotted, but engrossment is much more than that because
and I understand that.
Right. Okay. So our concern is that it's like sometimes we get things that don't have attachments to them. Okay. You won't see this per se in the rules, but it is. But we actually have a law here that says that you needed a fiscal note. Now, even though it didn't get done at the beginning as it should have been, or it would be the same thing if somebody's trying to do something and you change what is the SIDS, and they don't have all the things with the SIDS, we say attach the SIDS. What I said to the sponsor originally, he would not listen, is, hey, let's send this back out to you. I told him this two meetings ago. Let's send this back out. You can get this stuff cleared up. You can also get cleared up because when I watched the Zoom meeting, before it's not the proper board bill. We do have another problem. Get that cleared up, send it back to us, and it would have been back to us, and that wouldn't have been a problem. He didn't want to do that, okay? So now we're dealing with his responsibility of saying he wasn't going to do it that way. He has a right to say that. This is his bill, but I have a right to say, you're going to follow the rules that we have. So when you're talking about the pass and do not pass, so here's what you're going to find out.
That's not what I was talking about, though, really.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
You guys were talking about timing. That's what I'm looking. I wasn't talking.
Oh, that's in the
ready
charter.
to vote. I'm ready to vote today. Okay, thank you.
It's in the charter.
That's the only answer I needed.
Okay. Anybody else? Anyone else? So let me just take a little poll. You want to, Alderman Vaccaro, you want to pass, you don't want to do anything?
I would think that, anything we do makes a chance that it could still be, and I do think it needs a fiscal note.
I do too. But we can't just hold it here. Alderwoman Green.
Yeah, I think the do not pass is still
Okay.
worth
Alderman Todd,
I think the appropriate thing is to do not pass.
Alderwoman Evans.
I'm following the lead. Do not pass.
Alderman Grass.
I don't know.
Okay. You can
That's
always
okay though.
vote against that. We don't always have to be lockstep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Gotcha.
All right. So the majority of the people can support a do not pass. At this time, I'd entertain a motion that Board Bill 200 for a substitute be passed out of committee, be engrossed and passed out of committee with a do not pass.
So moved.
I have a second.
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay.
So, but it's gonna be engrossed, though?
No, I'm not gonna do previous roll because Alderwoman Grass has some problems. So is there any more discussion about this? Okay, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Alderman Vaquero,
Can I get clarification on the motion? I'm sorry.
The motion is that Board Bill number 204 substitute to be passed out of committee with a do not pass, and we as per our engrossment rules.
Okay, yeah, I'm an aye on that.
Alderwoman Green,
Aye.
Alderman Todd,
Aye.
Alderwoman Evans,
Aye.
Alderwoman Grass,
Aye.
Chairwoman Tyus,
Aye.
6 aye votes.
By your motion, sustain the rules. Board Bill 204 substitute will be sent back out to the full board as a do not pass because we cannot engross it because we have problems with it. And I will put a note onto it of what our problems are. I'll write up a note and send it to everybody this evening so you know what we're sending out as a committee report. Is that all right?
Yes.
Sure.
Anybody have a problem with that?
That sounds good.
Okay, now back to, that is the completion of the engrossment, right? Is that right, Madam Chair?
Correct.
So we have everything enrolled and everything engrossed. So now we want to go back to resolution number 78. Okay. Resolution number 78, the alderman from I wanted to make sure yesterday that we finished hearing his presentation, but we're going to go back to it again because I want to have some conversation about this. I really liked how we had this conversation. I hope we can do the same thing with this, okay? Everybody's not going to always be on the same page. I think we have a great committee and I would like to keep it that way. Alderman, if you just want to present want to talk about your resolution a few minutes again, and then we will take questions from the committee.
I'll keep it very brief. So, I looked at everything that we talked about the last meeting. And like I said, it was brother-sister kind of argument going on there. We kind of agree with that. We don't dislike each other. We're both
passionate.
Yeah, that would be a good word.
At different times, I've been told I'm Irish, Lebanese, and Italian. Okay, so
it's my I get a little bit out there, but so here's the thing about this. I agree that we need. I honestly believe we need to pass this to change the rules. I do know that in the case of Alderwoman Green and Rice, they do move up. But here's the thing, if we don't pass this, yes, we can go to the meeting, but we don't have a vote. I can tell you, I know what, and even if we were to amend it here in committee to make, all this will simply do is give us a vote at the committee. I will tell you this, and let me go all the way through so I can get my whole thoughts together. But you're right, we can challenge the rules at the meeting, but we won't be able to sit there and make the rules at the caucus. Taking this out, amending it fixes that. And I know that your issue with continuous versus total time. we can make that argument.
We're gonna take that off the table. That's not my issue. So take that off the table right now.
Okay, I'll take that off the table. But I would say, if you want to make that argument,
I don't.
at least we can be there in the committee.
No, I don't want to make that. So please, I don't want to make that argument because I already know what I'm going to do. I'm going to sue the Board of Aldermen for racial discrimination and I will win. So let's just take that off of the table and let's go on, because it doesn't hurt me what you're doing, but I still I don't agree with what you're saying. So go ahead.
Doing no action hurts you more than doing this, because if we don't do this, even the time that you have on, you'll lose everything, as well as me, as well as Alderwoman Green. The only one on this committee that benefits would be Jesse Todd. He'd be the head of the committee, and I don't think that that's good, because nothing against Alderman Todd, but along with seniority. Let me go through. Along with seniority, you learn a little more. I will have to say, after doing this 12 years, I'm getting a little bit better of understanding the rules, and so what I'm asking for is that we just take that out. Other than Alderwoman Green, that has an amendment already about, I think it's Article 9, but what we want to do is amend the rules so that we're all at that meeting and we all have a say on picking committees. Otherwise, even Alderwoman Tyus and myself, and I'm fine with it. I'm so burnt out. Everything, the thing about being the head of a chair of a committee, you seem to get blamed for every vote that goes through there. And that is not always the way it should be. You support your committee and you do what you can, but Facebook likes to beat me up, then I'm just probably the meanest person on the planet.
Hey, I'm in a meeting.
What's that?
I'll call you
Go
back.
ahead. Go ahead.
Somebody's talking.
You got a minute to wrap it up, Alderman.
Okay, I'm going to wrap it up faster than that. I would just appreciate everyone's support in changing the rules and taking out, and it's also in line with what the voters voted for, taking out the partisan part of our rules, except for I would like Alderwoman Green's amendment, which I believe it's the clerk has it. Sharita.
Yes, it's in our Google Doc drive. And after we finish this discussion, we'll properly put it before us if that's necessary.
Okay, so I'll close with that. I would really think we
don't close. Okay, we just
I'm not closing, but I'll
right.
But I'm going to just listen. I honestly believe we need to pass this and get it to the floor. I believe we need to make this change so that we have a seat at the table.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to take chair's privilege and go first because there's misinformation that is just not true. And one of the things I do agree with the Alderman, he says, when you've been around for a long time, you get to know things. I actually, when I was racially gerrymandered off this board, I became a committee woman. Not only did I become a committee woman, but I also sat on the Democratic Party, the State Democratic Party. So here's the thing that the Alderman, I think, he's mixing metaphors of apples and oranges. Everything and everybody can have a caucus. The Democrats can have a caucus. You can have a Black caucus, which we have here. You can have a women's caucus, which we should form. You can have a Republican caucus. You could even have a nonpartisan caucus. The people with the most votes win. So when he says we can't go to the Democratic caucus, first of all, that's not true. If we look at the national level right now, the Democrats do not have a majority of U.S. senators. We have 48 U.S. senators and 2 independents that caucus with the Democrats. That's how we get to a tie. And that's how our vice president is the person who gets to break ties. There is nothing that prevents a nonpartisans from caucusing with the Democrats, except for that if the Democrats have the majority, they don't need you to. I would suspect at the U.S. level, if the Democrats had 52 members or 50 members, they would not need the 2 independents, and they would not have to let them caucus with them. But they need them, so that makes those 2 independents very, very powerful, because they could easily go over with the Republicans. That is the case here. We are indeed, this is one of the consequences of Proposition D, which I told you guys I didn't support, and I knew about this. I am nobody that would want to lose my seniority for a second time, because I shouldn't have lost it in the first time, and I'm the only person in history because they cheated to do it. So I would not be standing here saying I'm against this. The reason why I'm against it is because he's presenting it the wrong way, as to say that we have to do this or we couldn't go to the caucus. Actually, the independents could have their own caucus. We could get together and vote, and we could control the rules. The rules are not controlled by the Democratic Party. The rules are controlled by the majority of the votes on either the first day of our session or as near thereof. And if you look in our rules, it tells you that. So if we could all get together as independents and say, hey, we're going to shut those Democrats out, we actually could do that. I'm not looking to do that, but I'm also not looking to scare people that we have to do it when that's not true. The Democrats would have to caucus with us because they don't have a majority. But there's something more that can be done. So I talked to our comptroller has sat on the state party for a long time, talked to the state party. The simple thing that we have to do, which doesn't change any rules and doesn't do anything, is that we can then declare our party once we get elected. We do not have to then say we stay independents. And I'll give you an example. Proposition D makes us run as nonpartisan, but allows us to put Democrat on our signs, on our literature and everything else, okay? So therefore, even though you have to file as a nonpartisan, you can still run as a Democrat. When we have the election, a simple thing we can do is have a thing that says per Proposition D, we were required to run, but I declare myself a Democrat. If you do that, that takes care of that. What the alderman is proposing to do, and I tell you the other problem I have with is a resolution. He says just remove it wherever it is. It's not specific. He's supposed to list out every place in our rules of how that would affect the rules. I actually have gone through, and Alderwoman Green did a pretty good job of going through where he missed it. But you're not supposed to just do a blanket say, oh, just wherever it is, because you would have to tell us where it is. You're supposed to give us a copy to say where it would be changed, okay? I think the clerk did put something in there, but some things got missed and Alderwoman Green found it. But if you don't hear anything else I'm saying, there is no chance that, oh, we can't caucus with the Democrats because they don't have a majority if we come back. So that is not a fear. I've talked to the chair. The president actually called me. I talked to him about this, and he also agreed, which we don't agree a lot, because we can. The comptroller, we can just do a statement, which I have drawn up, that says I'm a Democrat, sign it, and I declare myself a Democrat, and we will then keep the Democratic Party. Why I'm opposed to that? Because I don't want to be a nonpartisan. I don't want to take it out. I don't agree with that. I ran as a Democrat. I am a supporter of Alderman Green and Rice as much as possible, but I didn't support them getting a seniority because they broke the democratic process. And actually, I didn't say this, but I'll tell you now, when I was the committee woman, and Alderman Todd knows this, I passed a resolution that said that if you were a member of the board, a Democratic Central Committee, and then you didn't follow the Democratic Central Committee's rules, which is that the Democratic Central Committee nominates the person, that when there's a vacancy in a ward, that you come there, and that there's a nomination process.
Okay.
And so in this case, Alderwoman Rice was a sitting member. If I had been there, as much as I like her, I would not have supported her keeping her committeeship. We passed something about being able to strip them of their committeeship, because even though the role, I think that the rule is harsh and maybe should be changed, it wasn't changed. Now, the only thing that they gave you as an alternative, if you did not get nominated by the committee, you had to run as an independent. Okay, both of them showed that they basically had way more support than their Democratic opponent. But as a Democratic Party, then we have to say, do we support people going outside the Democratic Party and doing their own thing? That they can do that if they want, but then you suffer the consequence of not having seniority. It is not anything different than we've done for many, many years, okay? And it's many of our rules are based on the rules in the House, okay, when they're silent. And even our chambers, if you start looking at what happened at the Capitol a few weeks ago, you'll see our chambers look a lot like that. So what happened is when they got elected, they came in as independents. So you will see an asterisk by their name. Kenny Jones ran as an independent for, I want to say 16 years. So he never got seniority. Fred Hyder remained in the 12th Ward as a Republican. He never got seniority because it was the majority party, because we had the majority number of majority members. But if any time we had gotten to be the majority Republican or the majority nonpartisan independent, then those people would have run our chambers, just as we just saw a few years ago when the Republicans took over, they ran the House chambers. And just as now the Democrats have taken it back because they are the majority. So the alderman mixes apples and oranges when he says we have to do this now. We do not. Now, an unintended or maybe intended consequence of this is that if we pass this thing now, Alderwoman Green immediately, because what it says is in our rules, and I want to point you to the page. So the first thing that we talk about continuing seniority, which I will tell you, the charter nor our original rules did that. That was done by my good friend Alderman Bosley back in the, when did he run for mayor? Late 70s? No, it was the early 80s. And that was done because Daisy McFarland, who was the 4th Ward Alderwoman at that time, got beat. And then she came back and won her seat back. And they encouraged him to add continuing seniority in order to be able to, the basis of picking chairs and the titles, assistant floor leader, a majority floor leader. So he got with some other people and he changed that rule, because before that it didn't happen. And then he got caught up in himself, because then he ran for mayor. And so he had to step down, and a young lady by Stephanie Donaldson became the 3rd Ward alderperson, and then he came back and ran. And so then he got caught up and he didn't have continuing seniority. When I came in 1991, and I love Alderman Bosley to this day. I think about him often. I ask his children about him. He was my best friend and learned a lot of stuff. He wanted me to then raise heck about, he wanted to get his seniority back. And I said, Freeman, you did that to Daisy McFarland. That was not fair. If you did it, then you have to live with it. We never fell out. He said, Alderwoman, I knew you was going to say that. We remained best friends and to the time he left. But that's where continuing seniority came, because we did not have it. It was done against a woman to change the whole rules. And the whole point that they made when they did that was that if you lose or you leave, that you should not be able to come back and pick up your seniority. In my case, I didn't lose or leave, but okay, I'm taking that off the table. But when you look at Rule 1, title and sections, it talks about that the remaining office, the board of aldermen, so it talks about how you become an officer, and it says the remaining officers of the board shall be selected on the basis of continuing seniority among aldermen of the majority party. If you take continuing seniority out of this, if you take aldermen of the majority party, if you take majority party out of this, then both Megan and Alderwoman Green and Alderwoman Rice have had continuing service. That will immediately move them up from 14 to 12. That will move Alderwoman Rice up from 25 to 23. Now, if that's what you want to do, that's okay. But know what you're doing. Don't do it and say, oh, this blanket and this has to be done. Do it telling the truth of what happens. It does not have to be done. We're at the end of the term. That's the only thing it would affect. And the truth of the matter, even if you did do it, we could come back in here and change it again. So there is no need to pass this resolution out. And it's certainly not any need to pass this resolution out on misinformation. That is misinformation. He does not understand it. That is not the rules. And the state party has said that we can claim that we can declare that we are Democrats. And I know that the comptroller told me that before I checked. And so I would tell all of you all, make a call to the state Democratic Party. Okay, or even ask I'm using the president, because we talked about this over the weekend. So the alderman is confused. I was disappointed that he did not tell the people on the floor last week that we were in the middle of his hearing, and that he made it appear as though I was holding this resolution. I was not. I had it at the first time that I could hear it. He asked me that Wednesday to hear it, right? And we put it on the docket that next Wednesday. Before that, I made a record when we came back on the 6th that I would hear his resolution anytime. He says, oh, I said I have a better idea. I do. The better idea is that we just declare that we're Democrats and we go on and continue. If he does not believe that, or you don't, you are free to do whatever you want to, but do not believe that we have to pass this, and do not believe that we will be left out of the party. The majority is not ever left out of the party. Okay, so that is just not true. Alderwoman Green.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. The first thing that I would like to, I think, bring to the committee's attention is we have precedent for independents being left out, purposefully left out of our caucusing at the board. You know, I can say on firm authority that Alderwoman Rice was not allowed by our president to caucus with us, specifically because of being an independent. And so that leaves me with having no faith in our president of the board that independents would be allowed to caucus with the Democrats on the board. I think that there's a distinction that needs to be made too between personal affiliations and what we are categorized at the ballot box. There is nothing that prohibits us from personally affiliating ourselves with the Democratic Party. I, in fact, pay dues to 3 different political parties. I pay dues to the Democratic Party, I pay dues to the Democratic Socialists of America, and I pay dues to the Working Families Party. Because in some states, we have ballot lines that allow you to run for multiple ballot lines representing multiple political parties, like in New York, where I'm from originally. I do think that this is an update we need to make. And I would also say that Alderwoman Rice and I could easily draw cards that would put us ahead in seniority of the folks that we are on the same level playing field with right now. I would also say if there is a way to design this that does not inherently do that, you know, I'm happy to implement this in that way too. But I do think that the spirit of Proposition D is to take us to nonpartisan, and I have great concerns of leaving it up to chance of what the president will do after the election takes place and when we caucus, to determine whether or not we are in fact as independents allowed to caucus with the remaining Democrats, because I am sure that the president would love for me to not caucus with the Democrats. I'm sure that he would love for several of us on this committee to not caucus with the Democrats. And because we see the liberties being taken with our rules at his discretion quite often, I would be concerned that if we do not solidify these changes, that we are setting ourselves up for a crisis within the Board of Aldermen when we get to the other side of our elections in terms of the uncertainty that exists around this. Again, I will say, I think that we do need to be consistent in taking majority party out of the entirety of the rules and that is why I have the amendment prepared today. But again, if there's a way to do that keeps Alderwoman Rice and I level with those who we're level with in seniority right now, I'm happy to amend that amendment to make that so, because I think at the end of the day, like, our duty is to fulfill the wishes of voters when they told us to move to nonpartisan, and what we do personally in terms of our affiliations with political parties is fine. And there's nothing that's prohibiting us from still participating in the Democratic Party or, whatever political parties we want. But we will not be represented by those political parties on the ballot. And when, and because we are not running on those labels anymore, when we are talked about in the media, it's no longer the alderwoman from the 15th ward, D next to her name. It's I next to my name. And that is a product of this system. And so I think that it's important for us to move forward with these changes to end to make sure that there's not ambiguity going into caucusing after the elections, to ensure that there's not a power struggle that happens after the elections, and make sure that we're all kind of on the same page in implementing the will of the voters, whether we personally agree with them or not.
Alderman Todd.
My position is that, first of all, let me say that I was an officer, the treasurer for the St. Louis Democratic City Central Committee. I supported then Committeewoman Rice as when she ran as an independent. I supported her, and so I want to make that very clear. But let me say that my support is for making sure if your seniority is given, that right, Alderwoman, everybody's seniority, including Alderwoman Green, Alderwoman Rice, and I knew and so that's my position, is that it should be based entirely on seniority. And the voters have spoken. They did say that they want us to be nonpartisan. So therefore, it wouldn't be a contradiction if Alderwoman Rice and Alderwoman Green got their seniority, because we can affiliate, as I am, with many different groups, but at the same time, we are running. They want us to run nonpartisan. That's the wishes of the voters. As I tell everybody, at the same time, there's no contradiction in me wanting. So I want to support the will of the voters in this case. And what I think is fair is that we should have seniority. If you have more seniority, if you've been on the board longer, you should have more seniority. The number of years you've been on the board should determine how much seniority you have. Since we've talked about experience and how much experience, and my friend from the 23rd Ward said that the boogeyman, Alderman Todd, might become a chairperson. So I'm for more respect and seniority. Thank you.
I have a question. So when you say that, I have more seniority than everybody but Joe Rody. And the only reason I don't have continuing seniority is this board did that. So is it your position then everybody based on the number of years they've served should have seniority?
Yes, you should. Since you've been on the board longer than anyone else, you should have more. You have more seniority.
I do.
You do. I'm just saying I'm for more seniority regardless as to how you what label you ran under. And I'm respecting labels even more now since the voters are saying that they want us to run nonpartisan. But my main thing is that if you have more seniority, whether they voted or not, I think you should have been, this seniority should have been recognized because you have more experience. Since the Alderman, since some people have said just a tie would even be a chair, certainly I would recognize, since we are saying that certainly your seniority should be respected, since some people feel seniority should matter. If it doesn't matter, I should be a chair because I've done more for the community in North St. Louis than anybody on the board as far as getting jobs and other things. And I want anyone to compare my record. I'm not talking about the process. So therefore, if we're talking about record, but under these circumstances, I'm first experienced, and I think we should be consistent in making sure Alderwoman Green, Alderwoman Wright, Alderwoman Tyus should be getting their seniority. And I don't know how anybody can deny Alderwoman Tyus her seniority, neither, because she was unfairly, along with $1 million moved, her ward was moved. And also with talking about Democrats, she was getting out more Democratic votes than anybody in North St. Louis. So it didn't matter what she was doing for the Democratic Party. She was a female, she was an African woman, and she was moved only because of that. And because she stood up, because she differed in her opinion from some older people. Then I think that was the reason. And I don't see rightly or wrongly. I think we have a right to differ, but I think she was punished because of her views and being more than anything else, because there were other females that didn't get moved. So I, again, support continuous. I support seniority based. I support this based on seniority for independents as well as Democrats. So continuous services should apply to everybody equally.
Thank you, Alderman. I do want to point out, they didn't do anything to me. That's the thing that they like to promote. What they did is to my community. They carved out an exception so that my community, even though they kept voting for the same person, could not have a person that was senior. They put all new people, which has never been done in the history in my ward, all the new people, except for the few precincts that the 18th ward got. And they were all new. And they just decimated my community. And they tried to say we were punishing Sharon Tyus. You punish Sharon Tyus by taking away the right of the voters. I actually was reelected this when they did that, the second highest return of anybody. Only I think Shrewsbury got more votes than me, because I was blowing people away because my community. So they took away my community's right to pick who represented them and told them even the only way she could stay is if she moves to South St. Louis, where then you will not have a senior person. And so they made it impossible for 2/3 of what is now called the first ward, but it's the old 20th ward, for them to have a senior alderperson. Never done in history, never since. But the sponsor of this resolution now says, oh my God, they're going to take my seniority away, but doesn't have a problem with saying, well, you shouldn't have yours because the board was able to racially discriminate against you. And you should just accept that. I am not going to accept it. And my position was not when he said, not only did he say that about you, he also said, and Sharon Tyus will be the president of Board of Aldermen. And so maybe it's time for a Black woman to be the president of the Board of Aldermen. I bet you I know the rules better than all of you all. I know them as good as the president. So, but that was not my intent when I brought that up. My intent was, which the alderman for the 18th ward has made it perfectly clear, is that we're going to have a fairness. Don't go try to fix it now because there was an intended or unintended consequence that the voters did. The voters never told you it was all right to violate my rights or the people in my community on a racial basis. The voters never said that. That was something, not you, any of these members of the board, except for 2, that would be then 6th Ward Alderman Lewis Reed and 17th Ward Joe Rody. Now, that person you don't have a problem with. That's what always gets me about these things. You have no problem with this person, but both of them doing racist things against my community, saying you be the president and you be the senior alderperson. Instead of this board saying that's appalling, that should not have happened. But, oh my God, that's okay because we were punishing her. That's the narrative we're going to put out there. You can't punish Sharon Tyus. You cannot take the law degree from her. You cannot take it out of her head. And in fact, many of you, including you, Alderman from the 23rd Ward, I help with the rules when you don't know them and stand up. So what is disappointing to me is that you would come here with something to fix this because of your seniority, which I have said on camera, you didn't care. But you don't care about my community having seniority, and you don't care, and you find it appalling that the alderman from the 18th Ward would somehow become a committee chair. So my experience has been that none of us would be committee chairs in the past because it took people 15 years to become the basic low-level committee. Okay, that's what it took. So the alderwoman from the 15th said, well, I would make it so that we would be all even because nothing would prevent us from drawing cards and then we could get it. That is exactly right. But if you change this, there will not be any need for drawing cards, that they will absolutely get their rights, which again, okay, you can do that. You can do that. But how can you then promote people who went outside the system and didn't follow it? Oh, they should get theirs because that also includes me. But somebody who was racially discriminated against and the whole community was discriminated against and say, well, they shouldn't get it because I want to keep mine. That is my point. Not that Alderwoman Green or Alderwoman Rice shouldn't get it, is that we got to look at some equality. We always talk about unintended consequences. We talk about racism. We talk about systemic racism. This is systemic racism. We're going to make it all right for everybody else, but you're going to stay punished. That is why I oppose this, because you either be fair or you don't. Alderwoman Green said last time she was here, well, we didn't know if we can change that part now. Yes, we can. This is rules. It's a holistic rules. We can change that part right now with everything else. You said on the floor last Friday, well, she's trying to be the president of the board, and she's not going to be okay until she pushed this. And so I'm going to go along with this. Then good, let's go along with this. Let's say, let's do fairness, not let it happen in some other time or place where we say, oh, well, we would have done that, but we didn't understand. Understand that this is unfair. And if the voters gave us a consequence, what I say is then just live with it. Live with the consequence. But you guys keep pushing that the Democrats won't let us caucus with them. That's a false narrative. They don't have to let us caucus with them, and we don't have to caucus with them ourselves. So saying they won't let us, that's okay, but we don't have to do it. But this is nothing that has to be done today. By the time we have the election, unfortunately, because of Proposition D, which I was opposed to, but I was fair. When Alderwoman Green wanted to bring people, even though I was opposed to it, I let her bring many people to this committee and testify to the opposite of what I believed in, because I do try to be fair. But I'm starting to hear that people are not fair to me. So I'm not going to be fair with people who are not fair with me and who say, let me get it, and I don't care about you. I am not going to be fair with those people anymore. I hear you, and it's really not a message you should be sending to me, because I have been the person that when it's even against me, I will try to be fair, but I will not continue to promote something that's not true. We do not have to caucus with the Democrats. If they do not let independents caucus with them, they do not have the majority. It's like, I feel like I'm talking to people who said, well, the Republicans have the majority, but we want to caucus with the Democrats. The independent nonpartisans will be the majority. So if they do not cut a deal to say independents can also caucus with us, or sign something saying I am a Democrat, then they don't have the majority to run anything. The nonpartisans would be running it. So I keep failing to understand what you're talking about. The only reason I talked to the president about that is because I called him to talk about the behavior of the alderman from the 23rd, which was very deceptive last Friday and was not true. And I was very troubled by it. And so that's why we talked. And then when I pointed out to him that the comptroller, who's been on the Democratic caucus, on the Democratic Missouri Democratic Party for committee for years, had pointed out to me early on, well, what about if you did it this way? And so when I started exploring it, that's when I found out you could do it this way. But this thing about, oh my God, we're not going to be able to caucus with the Democrats makes no sense at all, because we don't have to, because we're the majority. And if you really are trying to be fair, then you correct everybody's or you don't correct anybody's. And for you to come in here saying that, oh, I want to just correct mine, and we're going to have consequences that other people didn't know about it. I thought it was hilarious that the alderman from the 17th, second your motion, Alderman, because he was one of the people that was being affected. And then he wasn't so much for this. I am not supporting this now because you have, I heard what you said. You didn't mean for us to hear, but I heard what you said. Well, Jesse Todd could be a chair. So it's as much for Jesse Todd, Alderman from the 18th, to be a chair as any of you all to be. So I'm offended about, that's why I keep telling you about the stuff that comes out of your mouth is offended. Jesse Todd, the Alderman from the 18th, I'm sorry, I don't want to say his name, has been out in this community, and he and I have worked together for a very long time. And to try to fix something and say, well, the voters voted for this, so we're trying to fix it so we can keep everything we had. But the voters, I want to find one voter who said, oh, we like it when you do racial discrimination, and that's what we vote for. And I didn't find it. And the only way I came back and said, let's try to correct this, was I tried to craft a very narrow change to the rules so that it would correct what racism had done. And you, Alderman from the 23rd, said to me, oh, well, you should have had your seniority because you're really smart, but I wanted to keep, I wanted to have public safety. That's not a fair position. And it is immoral to me that you would have said something to me, and I couldn't believe it. And I've tried to work with you, but I am very offended about what you said about me and what you said about Alderman from the 18th. Alderwoman Evans.
The comment that I have to make is that I was opposed to Proposition D. I hated that I had to run as an independent. I've always been a Democrat all my life and will always be a Democrat. So right now, I have no further comments on this subject.
Thank you. And I want to say that's how I feel too. I am a Democrat. I don't want to adhere to, I want to be a nonpartisan. It is not what I hear in my community. The people were shocked. That was not what they got sold on. Well, Tashara got cheated, and Lyda Cruson, she got into office with 32% of the vote, which is not true. She had a Democratic primary where she won 32% of the vote, but we sold people a bill of goods to me, maybe not in other parts of the city, but in our parts of the city. And so what I hear is I didn't know you can't run as a Democrat. And I am a Democrat, and I find offense that people would have to tell me that I have to be a nonpartisan or independent. And again, I think sometimes the voters don't know the full story. And I think this is a bad proposition, and we have a chance to change it in November. And I hope that we have enough people at the Board of Aldermen that will change it. So I do not want to adhere to something that I do not believe is a good idea. Okay. Alderman Grass.
Thank you. I've been a lifelong Democrat. I'm always going to be a Democrat. The only thing that doesn't say I'm a Democrat is the ballot. My literature all says I'm a Democrat. It's like everything. I think we make stuff up as we go. I think that we try to say that this is gonna, and Prop D was never sold the correct way, and it was a sell job. We didn't tell anybody the truth. And yes, everybody can read more, everybody can do more research, but when the loudest voice in the place is always getting the juice, people just start believing that stuff. So we got to start selling it honestly, as opposed to not selling it honestly. So I'm not going to comment on which way I'm going to go on this, but I'm a Democrat. Thank you.
I don't know. I think Alderman Todd's hand was up before yours, Alderwoman Green. I'll get to you next.
I just want to reemphasize to the people I just want to direct this to, and I'm not angry with the Alderman from the 23rd, but I sat on the Democrat City Central Committee for more than 20 years for free. And I was the treasurer for the Democratic Central Committee for almost 10 years. So, and then too in the community, as I said, I worked in the anti-poverty program and got thousands of jobs for the north of Delmar for poor kids. I also taught school, my first teaching job, all of my teaching jobs except for one, which was at Shenandoah, was in North St. Louis. So when we talk about try to demonize Jesse Todd, again, I'm just saying, I'm not some kind of boogeyman that's out here that hasn't done anything for the Democratic Party or the community. So I'm for seniority only because of the fact that I believe that's the fair thing, not because I can't do it, because I've done more after being homeless, after coming to St. Louis. I've suffered more under the racist system. Let me be perfectly frank. I was born under segregation in Mississippi. I came here because they killed my mother and father when I was 11 years old. And I was on my own after 11. At 15 years old, 4 years later, I was homeless in the streets in St. Louis. So I do know. So I would like for anyone, being a Black guy, and I have been abused by the police. If you look at my lips, it was split from one end to the other. So I do know about police brutality. So my experience, I have more experience than anybody on this board and more than one in different lifestyles. And I have a master's degree in education. So, and I was a dropout and I was put in special education and I taught special education. So what my point is, no one, and I want you to find me one person who has a broader background and experience as well as education than I do and who has done more for North St. Louis in this city, but especially North St. Louis. And I went to jail in the poverty program and didn't get fired, but I got a raise and saved thousands of jobs. And I led right at City Hall. So my point is, I'm not a boogeyman, and I'm not, and I'm an elderly, and I'm very healthy. I don't take one vitamin or one pill, and haven't been sick in my life. So I know how to take care of myself. So I bring to this committee, this board, tremendous experience, and I'm well read. I've read hundreds of books, and I taught. So my point is that when I say that the committee should be fair, I bring that fairness in my experience, saying that Alderwoman and Chairwoman Tyus was treated unfair. I say that Alderwoman Green and Rice should be should be treated fair. So I come again saying Alderwoman Tyus has certainly should, if she become president of the board, fine. She has all the qualifications and more than anyone else I know on the board to be, and more experience. So that I don't see why we would have a problem with that. And she was treated unfair because I attended all the meetings when we were trying to say the 20th ward, and we lost. And so it was racial discrimination in that the money, not only did she lose her ward, but also the money that was transferred over there went to South St. Louis with the 20th ward. So I want to reiterate that if all the women who have more seniority and men, anyone who has the most seniority, whether they're independents or Democrats, should be given that seniority. I just think it's fair, not that I'm not qualified to be a chairperson. Certainly I'm more than qualified. And I'm more, and I've shown more resilience than most people would if I want to question anybody. If you were 15 from the South or from a plantation, what would you have done in the street? And that's my question to anybody. So I am very well able to take care of anything, and my record shows it. So I don't want anybody belittling me like, hey, Jesse Todd, he would become a chairman. Like I don't. I'm more than qualified to be a chairman than anything else. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Alderwoman Green.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I want to say a couple of things. First of all, when the issue of the alderwoman from the first seniority came up when we debated the rules the first time, I not only supported it, I helped get other votes to support it. And you know, I still believe in that position today. And so my question previously was not so much questioning whether we could, it was whether it is within the purview of the resolution that is in front of us to be able to amend it in that way. And that was simply the impetus of that question. So I want to clarify that. I also want to clarify that if we make no change, Alderwoman Rice will become 10th in seniority.
Good.
Because she will be bumped ahead of all of us who are independents as the rules are currently written. And so I would ask, is that fair?
That is not true.
And that is the way that I read and interpret these rules. And the last thing I would say is I emailed to everyone, and the clerk placed it in our box too, the congressional rules to discuss how they caucus, because it's not just that independents can randomly show up to their meeting and are allowed to caucus with the Democrats. It is, if you go to page 9 of their rules, under Rule 9A, they are no persons except members of the.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was trying to lower your hand. I'm so sorry. Okay, go ahead.
No persons except members of the caucus transcript clerk, and other necessary employees shall be admitted into a meeting of the caucus without the express permission of the caucus chair. And so again, the way that this happens at the congressional level is not just that independents show up and are just automatically allowed. It is at the discretion of the chair. And so I would further say that I am not comfortable leaving this up to the discretion of the chair to determine whether or not those of us who are listed as independents on the ballot this time around are able to caucus with the rest of the Board of Aldermen come when we come back in session after elections. And I hear you. A lot of us on this committee have done a lot for the Democratic Party over the years. I spent the last 4 years as one of 4 Missouri delegates to the National Democratic Committee. I spent 2 of those years as vice chair of the Missouri Democratic Party Platform Committee, traveling this state to hear what Democrats expected to have in our party platform, and spent hours upon hours crafting what the new Missouri Democratic Party platform looks like.
Someone, hold on a second. Somebody needs to mute their mic.
And you know, that work for the Democratic Party does not stop just because I don't have that next to my name anymore. And but I do think that, you know, we can have whatever opinions we have about Proposition D, but the fact of the matter is it passed, and we need to move forward from there. We need to put our rules in alignment. And I fail to understand how it makes sense to continue to reference majority party throughout our rules when independents, A, are not a party, and B, the majority party would then be less than half of the members of the board after this election. And the implications that has on everything. And so, you know, if we don't agree with that, maybe we should just get rid of seniority altogether. Maybe we should make it where
we actually can.
Maybe we
could pick our own. We could have picked our own floor leader. I told you guys that.
Let me finish here. I'm getting to that. I mean, we could theoretically say, you know, from now on, committee chairs are not chosen based upon seniority. It is votes based upon, you know, members of the Board of Aldermen. And so you have to convince your colleagues to vote for you, and the person with the most votes becomes chairman of that committee. Is that a good way to conduct business? I'm not sure that it is, but it is a way that we could do things. So, I mean, all of that is to say, I think that if we fail to act in this regard, that we are setting ourselves up for a conflict when the new board comes in, and we you know, caucus and make any amendments to rules in that first meeting. And I would think that we would want all of, you know, all of as many aldermen as possible to participate in that process. And we do have precedent of members of this body being left out because they are independents. And I don't think that we should take that chance in letting that happen.
Okay, I see. First of all, I want to apologize to Alderwoman Green, because she, not only did she support me, so did Alderwoman Rice, and so did Alderwoman Engrossment. So let me say that, and I do recognize that, okay, and I appreciate that. And I hope it wasn't just supportive of me. I am much more supportive of a fair process for everyone, that everybody be treated equal. If I had lost, or if I had left the Board of Aldermen, I'd have never come back here saying, give me my seniority back, because that had been what the Board of Aldermen did. But they carved out something that is unfair, illegal, and racist, and sexist, because we have no women leaders of the board, and I should be that person, okay, whether anybody likes it or not. And I didn't just get elected little bit, big numbers, and every Democrat in the state, including the President of the United States, got the most votes from the 20th ward. So I find that really offensive. That's why I found offensive that the alderman from the 23rd wants to correct it because of him, but saw no fairness in what should happen to me, except for privately saying to me, you should have gotten it. So this is not personal. I want to say, though, we keep saying about caucusing with the Democrats. We don't have to. That's what I just, it's like, I don't understand what you don't understand, is that we can just, first of all, we don't have to wait for the president of the board to call a caucus meeting. We can call any caucus meeting anytime we want to and have our own meetings, okay? But secondly, independent is not a party, but it is the majority. We can be talking about the rules, what maybe should be changed as a group anytime we want to. In fact, we can do it now. My thing would be maybe this rules committee, instead of talking about just flipping something over, which he does not have every place where this would be addressed, but maybe we need to be talking about some other things. When I sought my seniority back, one of the things I told you guys and showed you is that the majority floor leader or the floor leader does not have to be who is the continuous seniority. It allows for us to have voted for who we wanted to. We just didn't do that. I'm not trying to shake up all the rules. For me, I know for you guys that may be okay that you're not Democrats. And what I'm trying to tell you, and sometimes I think we just are from different sides of things, especially communities. In my community, being a Democrat, and I'm talking about the Black community, is a very important thing. It's very important. And so I don't like doing things where people had not been part of the system for so long. And then when they get part of the system, everybody says, okay, well, let's change this. I don't like it for award a reduction. I don't like it for anything. Many times Black people feel like that when they get to be part of the system that we've had to knock every ceiling out of and stop and do everything. And then we're the people that are the Democratic Party. We carry the ballots. Black women vote 98% Black. We get out there, we work. And then when we get to the point where it looks like that we might be part of the system, everything changes. So when you hear, and older people like that too. So we have some older people on here. When you hear us saying we are Democrats, that was a hard fought battle. And so, again, I have to agree with Alderman from the 12th. I just don't think that, in fact, I know in my community, it was not what they were voting for. Take solace in the fact that I said that in November, the Board of Aldermen can look at that ordinance and look at changing it. I do not want to stay that. If I have to, I guess I will, but it is not anything that I'm proud of. And I will always have Democrat across everything. Even when the Democrats did me wrong, I still said, but I'm a Democrat. But that didn't mean I don't think that the Democratic Party should be changed, but it should be changed fairly and honestly so people know what's going on. So I see Alderwoman Annie Rice is here. I want to ask her before I come back, because if she has something to say. And then I'm going to ask Alderwoman Christine Engrossment if she has something to say.
I don't think I have anything to say at the moment. Thank you.
Okay. Alderwoman Engrossment.
Thanks for the opportunity, Madam Chair. I don't have anything to add.
Okay. Do I see any other? I thought I saw some other aldermen. Let me make sure I'm over here. I thought I said they left now. Okay. Alderman Todd, and then I'm going to go to the sponsor.
I think the voters voted this in because they do want to shake up the Democratic Party. Let me be perfectly frank. And they didn't want us to keep the party as it is or keep seniority. I support being fair, since if we're going to have seniority, you should get yours. If we're not going to have seniority, I think the voters knew exactly what they were voting on. You can look. I'd like to use North St. Louis because of the fact that you can look at.
Wait a minute, Alderwoman, you're not muted. Okay.
You can look at North St. Louis and see the devastation that the Democratic Party leaders at the Board of Alder people and on the Central Committee too, because I was on there. You can see how ineffective the Democrats have been. So yeah, the voters knew what they were doing. The voters didn't intend for us to keep the same power and the same structure. So to be perfectly frank, my view from what I interpreted from the voters, and they've overwhelmingly voted for this. They understood. But what I think is missing is that we need to make sure that we're getting the message as all the people and committee, as elected leaders, that the voter was sending. And again, I'm for fairness all the way if we're going to do it that way. However, let me make this crystal clear. The most democratic way would be to have all the peoples to actually select our own chair people. But that's not going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen. But if it doesn't happen, I think that at a minimum, we should be consistent in making sure when we talk about seniority, everyone on this board should be judged strictly by the amount of seniority they have. If we're going to do it that way, if we're not, we should let we should elect chair people and everyone else let our peers decide who should be chair, vice chair, floor leaders, president of the Board of all the people, or whatever is going on. And that's what I think the voters want. They wanted to shake up the status quo, and they did. And so I'm willing to support seniority given to everybody. At the same time, I'm willing to support letting the peers do. I don't care what happened. I just want it to be fair. But if it's not going to be based on seniority, I don't think any other alternative is fair. to not include, I think independents should be included. And I think Alderwoman Tyers should get her seniority back, 100% of it, if we're going to base it on seniority. And it shouldn't be based on the fact that she was a Democrat. It should be based on the fact that she has more seniority. So I'm not saying because she's a Democrat, because the Democrats have done a lot for the African-American community and white community too sometimes, and at other times, the Republicans have in the past, and independents too. So it's not about party, it's about what's fair. And so I think that we should base it strictly on seniority, or we should either be democratic and elect our own chair people from the floor, or the caucus.
Okay, I think that we're not going to change too many people's mind at this point. So unless somebody else has something that they need to say, I want the alderman to present his resolution, and we're going to do a motion to take it before us. And then we're going to, then if he wants to add Alderwoman Green's amendments to it, I'm dead tired. Okay, I got something else I have to deal with. And so Alderman, do you want to close? Or is there anybody else that has anything to say? Because otherwise I'm going to let him close, and we're going to add Alderwoman Green's amendment. Okay, Alderman.
So let me start by, I will apologize to Alderman Todd. I did not mean anything when I said that. You're a very well-educated man. That's not, it's, what I guess was referring to is the more you're in a committee and the more you're used to how things work and you learn the rules, certainly you'd be a great chair, and I'm sure hopefully someone would make you a vice chair of a committee. Alderwoman Tyus, I understand. What I was going to say at the beginning of this was, when we do get, to me, I think we need the caucus. I'm not that, and I would support you in the full caucus. This is not, this is just trying to get us to the caucus. If you want my commitment that in caucus, you can round up the votes, you can count me as one of yours. Because I'm not that worried. I just know, I know in my own heart that not changing this will not get us to the caucus. We can go sit in there, but I've been here for 12 years, and I know you were here longer, but I know that, and when you explained even at the beginning about, at the time, I guess it would have been Alderman Bosley and then eventually Mayor Bosley.
No, not mayor, that was the alderman. Mayor,
No,
the mayor never became alderman.
Oh.
So there are three Bosleys. There's the mayor, who was the circuit clerk. There's Alderman Bosley Freeman, who was our longtime colleague, and there's Brandon. Three different people.
So when you explained at the beginning that they ended up getting stuck with that, I'm just trying to make sure, for my part, I'm not even worried about seniority. I'm really not. 4 years ago, yes. 4 years ago, was I absolutely wanting to protect my position? Yes, and no doubt. The same way that you're wanting to protect what you feel is right. And I'm committing to you that I would do that in caucus, not whether or not you vote for this or not, but because that doesn't matter. I'm just trying to make sure that I have a seat and that my colleagues all have a seat at the caucus. And to take a chance, I can tell you that Alderwoman Rice and Alderwoman Green, as far as that goes, when Scott Ogilvie ran as an independent, yeah, he was able to sit at the caucus, but just sit at the caucus, not talk at the caucus, not have a vote at the caucus. In order for us, this is my opinion, and based off of everything I've seen and done over the last 12 years, in order for us to have say, unless you're just wanting to do an all-out war, which does nothing, because if a group of us will stand up and reject the rules, which I won't, no matter what comes out, I won't reject the rules. So if I just don't see having a fight on the floor. I think the fight needs to be in the caucus. I think that we all need to have a vote or a say in that caucus. And that's simply why I brought this up, and has nothing to, and what's so funny is I did not even think of how Alderman Green and Alderman Todd and Alderman Rice, that was all part of what you had said about unintended consequences and that. You originally put, to be honest with you, I didn't even think about any of that. I just thought we should just change these rules. So anyway, I'm rather than belabor it, and I know you have somewhere to be, I'm just going to close, ask for
okay, because you want to, okay, so I'm sorry to interrupt, but okay, we're not going to, you have to bring the resolution, then we have to do a motion to, first we got to do a motion to bring, well, your resolution is all before us, but you want to do a motion to bring Alderwoman Green's amendment, which is
yes,
amendment
I would like to. I thought.
Wait a minute, hold on just a minute. Did you have a point of order, Alderwoman? Oh, okay. All right.
No,
your resolution is before us, but it doesn't have the changes that she wanted.
Right. So, I thought Alderwoman Green would make that. It's an amendment to the resolution.
Okay, Alderwoman Green, do you want to make a motion?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to adopt amendment number 1 to resolution number, what resolution number is this?
78.
78.
Got a second?
Well, I'll second that.
This is just like we talked about last week. This is, I'd gone through and found that this was the one section where the words majority party were still included. And so it would strike the words majority party from that paragraph in the rules, in alignment with every other paragraph in the rules.
And so this is Rule 19, right? That we are amending. So what about, I'm just gonna ask, what about Rule 1? Maybe, so I'm sorry, I'm out of order because you're speaking just to your amendment, but at some point we're gonna have to look at Rule 1, which also speaks to continuing seniority.
Sorry, too many things open on my computer right now.
No, we're just gonna deal with yours, and then if we need to come back and do another one, so I should have done that before yours, but we're just gonna deal with your amendment, okay? So that we're not out of order. So we have a motion and a second to adopt amendment number 1 to resolution number 78. Is there any discussion about adopting amendment number 1 to resolution 78?
So.
Okay.
We need a motion.
Wait a minute. We already have a motion.
Okay.
We're just discussing. Alderwoman Evans, did you have anything to say? We can't hear you.
What's the difference in her and the changes that she's bringing forth in comparison with what Alderman from the 23rd has?
It's just, we went through the entire document and struck the words majority party from every place in the document, except he missed one paragraph. And so this paragraph would just, these changes also strike majority party from that paragraph, because if we're really making this nonpartisan, majority party should not be referenced anywhere in our rules.
So just to update a little bit what she's saying. So the clerk, if you go into the Google Docs, the clerk actually did the rules updated. He did the rules marked copy, and he did the rules clean copy. And then he has the amendment, okay? So if you go into the Google Docs under resolutions. So the first thing you have is the resolution. Line number 2 is the rules marked copy. Okay, if you go through there, let me see here. Maybe he did this in here.
He did.
Yeah, so in line number 1, he went through the majority floor leader, the assistant. So he actually crossed out where you said majority in rule number 1. Okay, so if you can kind of go to that, you'll look through with everything that he marked. You go to rule 20. He marked shall be a member of the same political party as the chairman. Then he marked member of the majority party.
So if you see right above Rule 20 is Rule 19, and that's what we're amending because the words majority party should have been struck from the first paragraph in Rule 19.
Right.
We're
I was going to get back to that. I was just showing them where it was all marked. So, but that's okay. So Rule 19 is what she's changing. But if you go through the rest of this, the rules,
We'll stop.
okay, if you even go into vacancy on page 33, which is the vacancy in office alderman, he went through
Page 33.
Yes, and he struck through in such cases, the Board of Election Commission shall accept and process the naming of candidates representing the established political parties. So all of that is taken out of.
Okay.
Okay. So just making sure. You look at page 29, seniority, Rule 96. And he didn't strike out everything here because seniority there, we missed some. You look at A.
Sorry, Alderwoman, what page are you on at the moment?
Page 29, Rule 96, seniority.
Okay.
So if you look at 2A, it says the alderman of the majority party with the greatest seniority shall choose first followed by the alderman of the majority party with the greatest seniority. So that's not struck out.
Yeah, that should be struck out.
That should be struck.
That's the thing about this thing. You're gonna find out there's all kind of things that touch that. Just having a blanket resolution like this is really not how it's supposed to be done. You should lay it out, but the clerk tried to attempt to do your work for it. But it really should say Rule 95, line, blah, 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 so that we would, Rule 95, 96 rather, Section 2A, and then it should say what should be done, so that everybody knows that everything is being taken care of and that we don't miss anything.
Mhm.
I would say if Alderwoman Green would fix wherever it needs fixing as far as taking it out and amend her, you know, and yeah, my intent was just to take the majority party out of this. And I will be the first to admit I'm not the best reader. I will go across the board and probably say everyone has a higher education than me. But, you know, if I missed spots, it was unintentional. I did the best I could. You know, and my intent in this is to just eliminate the word majority party, which should let us all be at the table. You know, that's just my, you know, just want to throw that in there. And if Alderwoman Green, who's now Dr. Green, you know, feels there should be more, you know, if she could amend her, I would be receptive to that. You know, my intent is just to eliminate the word majority party everywhere throughout the document.
Madam Chair, I'm going to have to leave in about 20 minutes.
We'll be done. We're just checking over. This is the
Okay.
end. I'm gonna do as fast as we can.
Okay.
So I have a question. So since we won't have, when you look at rule, what is this? 87 duties, and you go down here to number 3, the assignment of the executive secretary of the Board of Aldermen shall primarily be assigned to serve as confidential secretary to the vice president of the Board of Aldermen. And then when you take out majority floor leader, and then minority floor leader, assistant. So when we take out this, do we even have an assistant minority floor leader? How does your change affect that? Because what happens with that?
What page is that?
That's on page 26, top of the page, speaking to the executive secretary. So we have, when we have parties, we have a majority floor leader, we have the president, the majority floor leader, which is now just going to be the floor leader. Then we have, what is the next thing? We have the assistant majority floor leader, which now become the assistant floor leader. Okay. And then if we have a minority party, we would have the minority floor leader, which now we won't have that. So that'll come out. Is that how that is going to work? Is that how you envision it working?
That would seem to make sense that you wouldn't have a minority floor leader, and
we won't be able to have one because everybody will be nonpartisan.
I understand that. And I understand that. And
so then you don't just take out minority floor leader. Wouldn't you then just have to take out the whole minority floor leader, that would have to come out, and it would just be a floor leader and assistant floor leader. Is that it? You understand what I'm saying?
I do, and we can change it now, or we can change it on the floor, however you feel.
No, I'm just trying to get this correct. If we're going to send it out here, which I'm not going to support it, but this is what I'm saying about doing this like this, is that we have things that we have not addressed, and you go through it, you're going to find more. And that's why you're supposed to bring these things with the line by line, saying this is what the problem is here. So it's just, and I think the Alderwoman from the 28th made the point when she agreed to send it to committee, that we needed to vet this and go through it and see how, when you make just a change like this, how it affects every rule that's within, or a discussion that's within our rules. So I'm just going to note this on page 26. Rule 87, which speaks to duties. Then in section 3, we shouldn't just take out majority. In the next one, the minority floor leader, we need to take the whole thing out of there, because
It won't be one, I understand.
and then we can leave in assistant floor leader. Okay, and then I saw another one someplace. Let me go back up here.
Chairwoman Tyus.
Yes.
So what are you saying is wrong with number 3? Or in number 3?
Okay, so it's page, okay. That's
I'm on the page, yeah.
okay. So number 3, let me see here. Duties, did I give you the right page? 26?
Yep.
Okay. No, maybe I didn't. It's rule 87, I think it is. Let's see. Where is it?
It's on page 28, at least of mine.
Yes, maybe that's it. Okay.
Yeah.
So when you look at number 3, what did I say page? I had the wrong page. Okay.
20.
Look
Yeah.
at number 3. So you talk about who the executive secretaries work for. We will
Right.
have a vice president of the Board of Aldermen.
Right.
We will have a floor leader.
Yep.
That majority comes out, but we will not have a second floor leader, because we only had a second floor leader if there was a minority floor leader, but there will not be a minority and a majority. So that we need to take the whole thing out for minority floor leader, and just, it will be a floor leader and an assistant floor leader.
Got it. Okay.
And that's in what number?
That's rule 87, page 28, line 3, under the executive secretary. There was something else I saw too. Okay, and we did get majority taken out of rule 68.5. So that was taken out. I think we got everything now. So I couldn't find, I thought I saw another one, but I couldn't find it. Do we need to reduce this in writing, or could we amend your amendment, I guess, to address Rule 96?
Yeah, I'm fine amending my amendment to address Rule 96
And rule, what's the other one, was 87?
Yeah, I think it was 87-3.
Number 3, yeah.
And Rule 96 was A. Let me see someplace in there. Okay, so we want to strike out another majority party in Rule 96. 2A. Line 1.
Can you say the page number, please?
29.
Thank you.
Okay, it's page 29. A. When you look at, they got the first majority party with the greatest majority shall choose first. Then it says followed by the alderman of the majority party again. So that needs to be the second alderman of the majority party needs to be stricken. And then they have the third majority party.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, so then Rule 87, page 28. Line 3. I mean, number 3. You want to take out minority floor leader, the whole thing, because there will not be a minority floor leader.
Madam Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I am going to
go.
have to be dismissed at this time.
All righty.
I think we'll still have a quorum.
We have a quorum. I'm sorry.
1, 2, 3.
She has to go. She just has to go. Sorry about that. I appreciate it. We're trying to work through this. Did you, if you want to make, if we can wait 5 more minutes, I think we got this done. But if you can't.
5 minutes
Yes.
max.
Okay. Okay. We don't have, so we have everything. Is that right? Okay. So, so if we could just take a, we don't have to reduce this in writing if everybody agrees that we know where the additional changes. Is there anybody that has a problem with where the additional changes are? Is anybody requesting these other changes be reduced in writing? Right. Okay, so we have a motion before us to amendment number 1, which is the ones that were written down, and we added the other places about majority party, Rule 96 and Rule 87, and we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Okay, Madam. So this is just about putting this amendment before us, so, and then we'll vote on the entire resolution, okay? Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Okay, Alderwoman, this is the motion to adopt the amendment 1, right?
Right.
Okay. Alderman Vaccaro,
Aye.
Alderwoman Green,
Aye.
Alderman Todd,
Pass.
Alderwoman Evans,
Aye.
Alderwoman Grass,
Aye.
Chairwoman Tyus,
Aye.
Alderman Todd,
Aye.
6 aye votes.
Okay, now we have before us the amendment, the resolution as amended. So is that, okay? So now you want to wrap up and we can just vote.
Yes, real fast. I want to thank you.
Okay, 1 minute.
Less than a minute. Thank you, Alderwoman Tyus and Alderwoman Green, for at least helping me work through this and straightening it out. I do want to apologize again. I know that my temper get ahead of me sometimes too. So anyway, no, I would just ask for everyone the favorable as amended that we pass it out. That was less than a minute, I hope.
Okay, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
I'm sorry, we didn't have a motion.
Oh,
I'll make
that's
a
right.
motion.
Okay, see, I told you I'm tired.
I'll
Okay,
make a motion, we pass it out with the do favorable recommendation.
we need a second.
Second.
Okay, we do have to have discussion. Any discussion? My discussion is I'm going to be opposed to this. I'm done.
Right.
Any other? Okay,
Dan, but thank you.
Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Alderman Monroe,
Aye.
Alderwoman Green,
Aye.
Alderman Todd,
Pass.
Alderwoman Evans,
Pass.
Alderwoman Grass,
Aye.
Chairwoman Tyus,
No.
Alderman Todd.
Present.
I'm sorry, Alderman, I didn't hear you.
Present.
Alderwoman Evans,
No.
3 aye votes, 2 no votes, and 1 vote in present.
I need to check that. What happens with that? Is that passed? That the mayor passed?
I believe it passed, but I can double check with Terry.
Yes, let's check that. I think it passed, but just to make
Yeah.
sure.
I think it passes because the president goes with the.
And I'm just gonna look. Just let me run. I am a fair chair no matter what you say, okay?
I'm good with that.
Just let me run the committee, okay? I first said that. Whatever it is, Alderwoman Evans, you can leave because we've already voted. Let's just see.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for staying.
According to the clerk, he said it did pass.
I beg your pardon?
According to the clerk, he said.
What, and what rule is that? I thought it is, but I just want, I thought it did.
I'm not sure. I can ask him. Hold on. I'm looking myself.
has to be a majority of the members present. So we had 6 members present. And so 3 fails because you need 4, because you have to have a majority of the members present. Here it is, it's rule. The resolutions follows the same thing for the bills, and it's required voting members. Look at page 37.
That's what Terry was just saying, Alderwoman. He was just on the phone now, but I have him on.
Sorry, by your vote, you failed to pass the resolution out of committee with the do pass recommendation.
So it goes to the floor tomorrow then, right?
Well, now we have to decide what we want to do, okay? So we can just not do anything since it was split right down the middle. So I think that's the best. And let me check though. So I don't know what we do with this. What happens when it doesn't pass out with the do pass recommendation? I want it to be right, but I want you to look at required voting majority so you know.
What page again?
It's on page 37. And required voting majorities. You treat resolutions just like bills.
We must have different.
So I was on the failing side. Is that right?
No, that's not right.
Well,
Both of us, it's a tie.
Wait a minute. On the prevailing side if it didn't pass.
You didn't prevail. You lost. That's a new way to say it. You made a motion and you lost. The prevailing side was the people who said no. Here, so look at required voting majorities.
On my page 37, it's not there.
Okay, are you looking at Q, required voting majorities? So look for Q.
Nope, I have my page 37 is item 26 through 44. I think they're like opinions.
You don't have, okay, so.
Page 38.
Required voting majorities, item Q.
Item Q.
Got it. Page 34.
No, that it requires to discharge a bill or resolution from committee requires a voting majority of the people that are present. It does not get discharged from committee. So you can bring it out from committee with 20 votes, which is what you need pretty much to pass it anyway. So if you got 20 people, just go work your bill, your resolution, and you can do it that way. By your vote, you fail to sustain the motion. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Anybody else have anything else they want to bring up?
No, I'm good with it. We're gonna see how everybody's gonna have. There'll be a lot of remorse. I'm telling you. I know.
Okay. All right. Anything else? Again, thank the committee. I appreciate it. I have to go. Did you have? Okay. Go ahead.
Do we have another meeting after today? Do we have one next week?
So I haven't set that up. I promised Brett and Ryan, but I need to find out what the president is going to do if we're going to have an extra meeting. If not, we'll have it down the line because we need to be out there doing that. Only if he's going to have another meeting, but if he's not, we'll have it before we come back. Is that okay? So that everybody will have time to get themselves together and do what they need to do.
Okay, and thank you.
Okay. Anything else? I want to thank everybody. I appreciate it. This was again a long meeting. I'm hoping that we don't do this much more often, but I do appreciate everybody on this committee. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I move to adjourn. All opposed, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Thank you.